Hi, Paul Pearson here. Continuing on with a series of articles I've taken from my book I put together back in 1996 titled Letters to the Editor, A Christian View. This is a letter I sent to the editor titled, What's Happening? And I'll begin to read. What's happening in our world? We as a society are continuing to fall away from the checks and balances that used to guide us in our life's purpose. How did it get so out of control? So many of the standards held sacred just a few years ago have been attacked by those who would promote anything and everything with little thought to the consequence. Surely I'm not alone in finding it discouraging seeing so much obvious wrong heralded under the guise of being tolerant and kind. How kind are we being to anyone as we yield step by step to the humanist concepts that have torn us from the safeguards that used to be a beacon of encouragement in this country? After all, these standards and safeguards work very well in keeping our society from so much of the pain that now plagues us. It used to be the best and most useful laws in our country were conceived in faith and from a point of concern to serve the needs of the community. But now, more and more, Christian ethics that clearly underscore right and wrong are being replaced with a pervasive view of relativity, a concept that teaches there is no real need of anything more than highly flexible standards that can be continually adjusted to whatever our society may be coerced into embracing. But does it make sense to hold to this view? Can we really expect to benefit from continually floating our values up and down on the sea of highly unreliable feelings and emotions? These feelings are quite often misleading in the first place, and in the second place, they are very poor indicators of truth because of our susceptibility to selfishness. Can we, in reality, trust great moral questions to our floating gut feelings, which may have been stimulated by nothing more than a piece of undigested beef? And further, should we cow down to the obviously bankrupt ideas of a few in the name of tolerance, which has brought this country to moral crisis? Look around you. How much more evidence do you need that whatever society is buying into is not working? We have rampant crime skyrocketing in our cities and towns, not just those crimes that have no respect for property, but ever increasingly those crimes that are callously irrespective of men, women, and children. We have 100,000 abortions taking place every year in our nation in the name of compassion for the women and girls in turmoil. But does it seem reasonable to try to make right with another wrong, the taking of a second life? Wake up, Canada. The whole story is far from being told about the money, corruption, and harm the abortion industry is perpetrating on this nation. And this scandalous conduct is undermining our reputation as a caring people. Now, homosexuality is being promoted as a minority in need of special protection above and beyond what is covered in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. But in the first place, sexual orientation is not a legitimate category for protected status. Unlike race and gender, it does not possess the characteristics essential to qualify for special status in human rights legislation. And in the second place, inclusion will infringe on long established rights such as freedom of religion, association, conscience, expression, and parental rights. The public interest would not be served well by legislating special rights for homosexuals. Do we really want to open the floodgates by putting our stamp of approval on this and eventually other affronts to decency? The changing climate brought about by to each his own mindset is meeting with little resistance. After all, no one wants to be labeled a hate monger, and this title, along with bigot and prude, are easily thrown at anyone who would stand for righteousness. But we who are concerned can stand our ground. We do this by arming ourselves with facts and taking the time to speak out about the excesses that are pulling us down into the mire. It surely must be obvious to all the emperor has no clothes. Where then are all the people who know these things to be true? And more importantly, when will they find the courage to speak? For the greatest tragedy of all is when good men and good women do nothing. For the sake of our children and our children's children, not to mention our own peace of mind, we dare not fail to oppose every challenge to the fundamental premise on which our nation was founded: faith in a righteous and holy God, and a commitment to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. And I'll end yours in Christ, Paul. Now, in our next time together, the letter to the editor was titled The Supernatural. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next time, God willing. Bye for now.